Bitcoin on the weekly chart, you see that nice big weekly candle. It's a nice update actually from our video earlier talking about that green line, the 20-week moving average. Bitcoin breaking above $92,000 and just now starting to try to get some separation. Let me just say, before we even talk about all of the different coins and crypto move, I put in the title, use caution. We're coming to some big resistance areas, even on the weekly chart for Bitcoin that you see here. We'll look at an Ethereum chart. We'll look at Cardano chart, maybe some other altcoins. We are coming to resistance areas. I will say, as I start this video, I think the bulls are stepping back in, and the bullish narratives that could drive us with such great momentum into this new crypto era are lining up very nicely. We're going to talk about those things. So hit the subscribe and hit the like. On the way in, that support means a ton to me. If you're out there in the live stream, I appreciate you. I really do. I know it's been frustrating. Deep breaths. That's the way to do this. That's the way to play this game, is the deep breaths. And it's also the zooming out. I'm very zoomed in on the weekly on the Bitcoin, but Bitcoin on the weekly. Ethereum, the global M2 money supply chart in yellow is going to be a very fun analysis on the Ethereum chart, the structure that we've had, multi-year structure zoomed out here. This is going to be fun. Cardano. I'm excited about this one because I'm going to give you a little glimpse into the Crypto Capital Venture Intelligence platform. Cardano bulls versus bear, the bull bear arena, as we call it. Check it out. The bulls have the upper hand. I want to say it is not, the indicator's not lighting up that the bulls are in full control, but I want to discuss what is going on here with this indicator, what it means, and we'll look at some other charts. So hit the subscribe, hit the like, let's just jump into it. If you're a replay viewer, please feel free to hit the timestamps, and I'll try and add timestamps. Let's start with just a few pieces of crypto news as people get cozy, as they kind of maybe show up to the live stream. Appreciate all of y'all. This is huge. SEC Chairman Paul Atkins. Let's just listen to what he says.
A top priority of my chairmanship will be to provide a firm regulatory foundation for digital assets through a rational, coherent, and principled approach. We will work to ensure that the United States is the best and most secure place in the world to invest and to do business. So, Mr. President, again, thank you very much.
I need to stand up. I need to stretch my legs. I can't believe Gensler's not in there anymore. I just can't believe it. I just have to walk. I have to walk around. This Paul Atkins, he's making me pace. He's making me pace. This is the world we're living in now, everybody. I realize that it's like this is a very bullish thing to have a pro crypto SEC chair. It's very bullish. And it's like, well, why are altcoins struggling? Why are things? There are so many other catalysts that the markets in general are waiting for. This is a foundational macro catalyst, and it's one to pay attention to. Look at this headline, because this is, this has been one shorter term driver of markets right now, not just crypto, and we're going to get a sense of that too on some of these charts. But President Trump says tariffs on China won't be as high as 145% and will come down substantially, but won't be zero. So he's taken his flex down a notch. And I think this is mainly a signal that there's going to be a deal. And I think both Trump and China specifically, especially those two, have been flexing like crazy. And it's like, let's go. Let's chill out. Let's make a deal. And I think that's going to happen. The tariff fear, as I've been saying, it's just going to be something that's behind us. And it's just going to be something that we've completely forgotten about. And once that happens, we're going to look back on this time and we're going to see just such obvious opportunity. And I'm not sitting here saying, go buy the dip, go scoop it all up. But I am just saying, I've been doing these videos for over 7 years, and we've been here before multiple times. And the crypto space continues to trend higher with higher highs and higher lows. And now we're entering a new era of innovation. If you're out there in the live stream, thank you for cruising by. Hit the like button on the way in. President Trump says he has no intention of firing Fed Chair Powell, because here's another one. The whole drama between Trump and Powell, because obviously Powell dragging his feet, Trump talking about firing him. Well, now he's saying he's no intention of firing him. We're getting just more certainty, right? We're getting more clarity into a lot of these things that have been adding to fear. So now let's just start looking at charts. I want to look at, obviously, Bitcoin. I want to look at Ethereum, and I want to look at Cardano, and I'm excited. I'm definitely excited to look at the Cardano charts. Let's start with the fear, though, because I know I talked about this morning, so I'm going to make this brief. But in case you missed the video earlier today, notice what's happening right now. And I was specifically just watching this indicator as it relates to altcoin markets, right? Because we had even just this high fear in 2015 in August, and you can see it back here. I don't have it circled. I should probably circle it. We had this high fear event, and this was kind of right before altcoins exploded all the way back then. And each time we're getting into these high fear environments, altcoins are getting ready to explode. And so whether you want to apply this to Bitcoin or altcoin, this is just what data tells us. Maybe this time is different, okay? Maybe something happens and all of a sudden things get even crazier and we're in an even higher fear and we're capitulating even more. Maybe the bottom's not in, but as far as the data tells us, we've been here before, and previously it marked the bottom. Now that bottom can be messy, it can be, it could drag out, and it could be kind of brutal, but it marked the bottom. And I'm just only going back to 2015 here as it applies to crypto markets. But let's look at Bitcoin analysis, and then I want to look at altcoins. So Bitcoin on the daily, we're going to kind of jump into that after I take a glance at the weekly, because what's happening on the weekly chart right now, I would say it's a very big move for Bitcoin. And the reason is because this isn't just your ordinary everyday moving average area on Bitcoin. This is very much a massive cycle, bull versus bear area, that green line. And, I think it has a tendency, especially for people that are maybe just watching one indicator, it has a tendency to freak people out when we're falling below that one green line. You could imagine there's nothing charted on this chart except for the green line, this 20-week moving average. And if you start zooming out on Bitcoin, it's kind of like, man, Bitcoin last cycle fell below that 20-week and it was game over. It was like it triggered the bear market, right? And then you can even just go back to previous cycle in 2018. It fell below the 20-week moving average and that triggered the bear market. This has been freaking a lot of people out, I think. And I think people have been using that singular indicator as just the top is in indicator. This is why I don't do any of my analysis using one indicator. I have to look at all the moving parts. I have to look at all the time frames. I have to look at the narratives, the fundamentals, what's going on. We have to look at monetary policy. We have to look at quantitative tightening coming to an end. And even just that one little talking point, QT coming to an end on this Bitcoin chart, it's coming up. It's coming up. Well, back here when we were falling into the bear market, QT was being fired up. It was just starting. So we're going to see just the inverse of this chart start trending upwards. This is the Fed balance sheet. It's been contraction for years. That is, that's bear market territory. We're going to start seeing expansion, and that is bull market territory. So when I say we're entering this new era of crypto, you can play this into it as far as the cycle goes, but then you sprinkle in all the fundamentals that are happening for Cardano, i.e. pro crypto guy Paul Atkins as the SEC chair. Now we're really talking a new era for crypto. Let's look at the Bitcoin daily, because I really want to talk about, in this video, the caution aspect, because again, on the weekly, it's a good move. We just talked about it in today's video earlier. The move happening, is it going to happen? Breaking above the 20-week moving average, it's happening. But there's still 5 days and an hour left on the weekly chart. By tomorrow, Bitcoin could be back below the 20-week moving average. We can have this wick start forming here on the weekly candle. So we have to be very cautious just with that alone. There could be resistance here and Bitcoin could trend lower before making an actual breakout. But on the daily chart, we get a really good sense of where could lower be. And then we'll talk about higher, but where could lower be? For me, it's very simple. And this is always the case. It's pullbacks and throwbacks, meaning for a great example is we're topping out, Bitcoin starts falling. We have the 20-day crossing below the 50, a bearish move. What do we anticipate? Pullbacks to the 20 and the 50. And it happens, right? Pullbacks and continuation. Now that we have this potential shift happening, the 20 going to cross above the 50, which is a bullish thing, same thing, now we're anticipating throwbacks. So back here would be a pullback that we anticipate. Don't get faked out, right? You know, it's nice, but then boom, smacked right back down, going lower. And then a pullback here at the 50-day, smacked back down, going lower. Say that 5 times fast. Now here we are, we're waiting for a throwback. So my support area for Bitcoin, if we get rejection, whether it's tonight, whether it's, you know, in a couple of days, whatever, before the end of the week, I'll be watching. The 200-day moving average is there around 88,000, but I'd be more interested in, you know, watching the 50 and the 20. And this could be a thing where Bitcoin kind of trickles sideways maybe and pulls into these areas, right? So where this support ends up being, I don't know. Right now it's 84,000 to 83,000. I don't think Bitcoin's going to just fall to that area in the next hours. But over the course of days, as these moving averages start trending up, we probably will get a 20-day crossing above the 50. Is support there when Bitcoin makes a move? I should say if Bitcoin makes a move. And then if there is, can we get the continuation of this move? Now, what really becomes important for me is the zoomed out. And I think, and I'm sorry for anybody out there that, you know, watches my videos for zoomed in analysis, but I'm really starting to gear towards zoomed out macro analysis. And this plays into the importance of macro analysis, this next kind of area to the upside for Bitcoin. So the swing high, all-time high for Bitcoin to swing low, we have this Fibonacci. This is a lower high Fibonacci. The range is the 618, around $96,000, to the 786, around $101,000, $102,000. That range is so incredibly important for the macro progression of Bitcoin to higher highs, meaning all-time highs. Bitcoin can, you know, close its weekly candle above the 20-week, but the true test is breaking above this macro lower high, all-time high, and then a lower high range of $101,000 to around $96,000. If Bitcoin starts approaching this area, I would not be surprised to see it kind of consolidate briefly at that area, if not throw back to something like the 20-week moving average, right? So maybe it's making its way up to like, you know, 98, and then we're getting thrown back down. I don't know what it would look like, but there's a lot of resistance ahead for Bitcoin. It could be choppy waters, right? But if Bitcoin breaks above this channel, namely the upper end at $101,000, $102,000, and starts closing candles on the daily and weekly, we're going to be entering, I think, that next phase, the phase that everybody's keenly watching, right? And a good example could be if you take the swing high back here to swing low, check it out. What I'm talking about is making a move to a Fibonacci that is very similar to this back here. And you can even see, actually then, Bitcoin struggled at the upper end of the Fibonacci, got thrown back down to the lower end of the Fibonacci, but then it continued higher above the moving averages, which is what we want to see. And then boom, the breakout occurred. This is exactly what I'm talking about in terms of that next resistance area for Bitcoin. So the question is whether or not we're going to test an area like that on the shorter term. So a better way to visualize is like, are we like kind of right here? Or are we right back here? Where are we in terms of the bottoming out consolidation of Bitcoin? A good hint, and then I'm going to look at altcoins, a good hint to answer that question could be on the weekly, where we look at the oscillator on the RSI breaking out this trend line, this lower high trend line. So essentially what I'm saying is we might be kind of around here, so mid-September 2024. So on the daily chart, that would be right around here. So a little hopping around and then boom, right? So a little hopping around and then boom. But all speculation. I just like to anticipate the upside and downside of the Bitcoin charts. I think it's a great roadmap for crypto in general. Those are my thoughts on Bitcoin. We have been in a bottom for a minute now. This is true. But if you really look at it, and this is what I continually have to do myself, is if you zoom out on the chart, these bottoms, right? And here's the 8-month consolidation of Bitcoin. The bottoms just last a long time. You can just go to any bottom, whether it's a short-term or a mid-term bottom, it really does last a while. And if this is kind of small comparative to when we're zooming out on a Bitcoin chart. But I do agree, especially when everybody's trying to anticipate a bull market and there's so much uncertainty in markets. A move like this just feels like a very long time. I get it. It's even worse for altcoins. Christopher says, gonna pull back to test the 50-day before higher. I think I've seen, we've seen this so many times, that type of move happen, a throwback. We've seen so many times, crypto's making a nice move like it is right now. People get excited. And then all of a sudden tomorrow we're waking up to a big red candle and we're starting to trend back down to the 50-day moving average in blue. People get frustrated again. So people are bullish because we're getting a breakout, but that breakout could have us thrown back to test a key support before going higher. The real exciting breakout might be over here in this type of move, right? So throwback, 50-day moving average, as Christopher says, and then heading higher to test the Fibonacci. Put that aside, everybody. I would love to see Bitcoin just test the Fibonacci now, like that $96, $101, $102,000 area now. It'd be great. That's what I want to see. But we have to anticipate that it doesn't get there immediately. So let's pivot and let's talk about altcoins. I want to give a shout out to Indigo, the sponsor of today's video. I know there's a lot of Cardano people out there, and Indigo, one of the top projects on Cardano, absolutely destroying it in terms of tech build out. The team, Eric and the team that is over there, they're innovating. And if you're in Cardano, on the macro especially, it's time to prepare in terms of Cardano DeFi. I would say start with Indigo. And I want to point this post out. We've built a robust system with Indigo, IUSD proving its resilience among stablecoins, maintaining its peg through historical volatility without banking hour limits or technical hurdles. There's a lot of volatility when it comes to stablecoins. I don't know if you've noticed when things get crazy. Indigo's IUSD stablecoin held up. IUSD lets users seize opportunities like buying the dip with stability. I was on Indigo, I was on their platform over here, and I was talking to Guru over here, the AI agent. I was just like, I wanted to ask, how can I use Indigo to earn on my IUSD? And you're in their DeFi platform. If you're on Cardano, go explore, everybody. Go check it out. But you can talk to Guru, and Guru gives me all these ways in which I could leverage Indigo utilizing IUSD. Talking about stability pools, depositing IUSD into stability pools, providing liquidity on DEXs, participating in governance is a good way to utilize your Indy if you have Indy. So just a powerful platform, everybody. And things like this, DeFi and crypto in general, namely on Cardano in this case, is such a powerful opportunity to kind of create your macro long-term plan of yield and gains. I definitely would start with Indigo to kind of look into that. So let's look at Ethereum, and then I want to look at Cardano. So I'm excited to do Ethereum analysis because when we're looking at this, the liquidity index, M2 money supply, on the daily, it becomes crazy. I want to start on the weekly. So I was looking at Ethereum falling to the downside, and we've talked much about this, right? This symmetrical triangle that Ethereum has been in, multi-year, the breakout to the downside, the potential for the throwback to the upside. I think I was talking about the potential for a throwback here, still talking about it here because it's very much in play, this throwback. And I was like, I wanted to kind of dig into that move about the possibility of it. And I looked at, well, it's a multi-year pattern. And it occurred to me that Bitcoin has a multi-year pattern on its own chart on the weekly. And I looked at Bitcoin's throwback that it just went back and it just went through. This was a throwback, not a pullback. But that throwback on this multi-year pattern lasted like 150 days or so, right? From breaking out to the trend line. That move took a while because it's a multi-year move. And I was like, all right, so something like Ethereum, which is almost like a very similar time frame, huge pattern, how long could a pullback take? And I was like, it could take 150 days, right? So I just charted from when it broke the lower trend line to 150 days. I just charted, where is that? And it takes you right to the beginning of August. And I'm not saying that this is exactly how it would come to play, but there's a case, I would say, when we're looking at that Bitcoin pattern data, that we could get the throwback to the triangle not sometime until this summer. But just note that a move like that would be probably more kind of the beginning of a powerful Ethereum move. It might not take that long if this happens, but also it would be a over 100% move from the lows. So that's not too shabby in terms of not only Ethereum desperately bouncing out of this absolutely horrendous move, but doing so in a matter of a few months. 100% gains for something like Ethereum is not bad. But then we're testing this area. But what we're looking for ultimately on Ethereum is kind of this busted pattern. And that is this symmetrical triangle, kind of a fake breakout to the downside. We don't hit the target, which is very crazy target to the downside. Instead, we cruise up. It's a busted pattern. And we actually kind of see Ethereum go a little crazy. The reason why I personally want this move to happen for Ethereum isn't because I hold Ethereum. It's because this would be incredible for altcoins. And I know we have a lot of altcoin holders out there. So if you're out there in the chat, smash that like. We got 3,000 people in the live stream. That's Ethereum. Now, actually overlaid with this, and this is where things kind of become crazy to me. We just looked at the speculative throwback on Ethereum, right? You see in yellow. I just charted it in yellow. If we go and we look at the global M2 liquidity index, this chart, everybody's been watching this chart. I've been tracking it on this chart or on this channel. Are you serious though? The 108-day lead time of this chart is actually charting that speculative throwback or pullback to the triangle. And it's doing it by June-ish. So maybe this is kind of showing a little bit of a quicker move for Ethereum. Maybe Ethereum actually trends in this manner, a time frame type of move where it's actually throwing back 100% gains by June. It's almost May, everybody. So this gives a very nice illustration, whether you hold Ethereum or not, how quick things can turn around. And all of a sudden, right here, if this happened, Ethereum's not only pulling back to the trend line, the apex of the triangle, and then it starts testing and breaking above and out of the triangle to upside, there will be so much euphoria here in these markets. And that is something to kind of visualize and I would say anticipate to the upside and be prepared for it. Because I don't know what you're doing here. I don't know how you're handling yourself. I don't know how you're handling your emotions. Some people out there in the comments are very clear in how they're handling themselves and their emotions. I don't know how you are, right? But isn't it great to get ahead of moves like this to the downside? But on the flip side, it's also great to get ahead of moves to the upside so that when it happens, you can be sitting up here. Altcoins could be just seeing 100, 200, 300, 400, 500% gains. And you'll be sitting there like you already have your plan and you're not falling into the emotion of it all, right? And what I mean by plan is I really do mean if we start getting altcoins taking off, it's a very good idea. Even right now, maybe you don't even believe that altcoins will go all-time high. Maybe you don't even believe a move like this will happen. You want it to, but no matter what you think, it's a good idea to sit down and say, you know what, if it happened, here's my exit plan. Here's where I'm going to take profits. It's a good idea to start doing. It really is. And this is partly why I built this. And I'm going to use a piece of our system here on the analysis today. I have a link in the description below. I'll put it in the pinned comment as well. But we're building out, and this is an enterprise grade intelligence system with custom indicators, custom risk models. Everybody, I just want to say that I've waited years for something like this to come together. I have an insane team that is building this, and this is one of the indicators. It's a bull bear arena. This will have a membership. It's going to have pricing. This is all custom. This is taking a while to build. This isn't going to be free, but we will have crazy special pricing for launch when we launch. If you want to get on that lifetime list to lock in lifetime pricing, click the link. But this is a bull bear arena, and it's taking into many things into account. This is on Cardano because I want to pivot to Cardano analysis right now. But you can see, and this is why I have in the title, bulls have the upper hand. Interestingly enough, before we even dig into Cardano, look at Bitcoin. Bulls in full control. Ethereum. Look at this. Bulls and bears duking it out. So you can kind of see how we're getting a little bit of a different vibe on all of these charts. And I actually think when we get into a parabolic bull market, it's going to be so interesting to see what the bull bear arena indicator is doing, because I'm pretty sure it's just going to be bulls are in full control all over the place. And it's going to be important to start looking at our risk metrics on all of these assets when we get into that environment. What is happening there? But if you look at Ethereum, look at the chart for the bull bear chart. It just keeps failing. The bulls keep failing every step of the way to the downside. Now, if you go to something like Cardano, it's a little bit better, right? It just looks more like a kind of a healthy consolidation. But if you notice something on this chart, the bulls, they're not in this full control territory like we saw in this breakout back here. But the first step definitely is bulls having the upper hand. And there's multiple contributing factors to this, and there's a lot of data being involved here. But one of them is the stochastic oscillator, which I have on an ADA chart. We're going to look at that. But there's a flip of momentum right now happening. This is a weekly on Cardano. Here is a daily. So you can see on this daily oscillator, just look at that move on this stochastic oscillator. Now, what I want to point out to you is this. If we go back here, where probably the bulls and the bears were kind of like duking it out, right here somewhere, you can see it on the oscillator right here. We pumped to a similar environment on this stochastic oscillator at the bottom of the screen. ADA did, right? So this move that you see here is what I'm trying to illustrate. This, and there's no guarantee, but this could be very much the very beginning of a very powerful Cardano move. And that is all that the CCV indicator here, the bull bear arena, that is what it's indicating. They have the upper hand. I could say the bulls are stepping in, and there could be a lot of powerful upside. Now, this is one indicator, okay? There's so many other factors. And also notice, even on this one indicator, something like the MACD is still neutral. Momentum is actually bearish still, right? Volume is neutral. So all these things aren't triggering. And also, I want to make a quick note, and I want to shill this a little bit. Agent Zero, y'all, I can't even tell you. Agent Zero is going to be doing work, and I mean like real work within this platform. I'm very hyped. I don't know if you can tell or not, but I'm very hyped about it. But long story short, that oscillator signaling the bulls are stepping in here. And if we just go look at the oscillator itself, you can see we're just getting in that overbought territory. It doesn't mean, oh, we're overbought, time to fall. No, not in the context of this quicker moving momentum oscillator, this stochastic oscillator. Once again, very similar. I'm not saying it's the same. I'm not saying it's going to play out the same, but the beginning move is looking very similar to back here. But we have to be cautious. Let's wait to see how this plays out. And ultimately, let's just use other indicators. So on the daily chart, I would say probably as that move is happening, right? We're getting that bullish indicator. is very simple, actually. And I'm looking at the daily chart and I'm just like, there is a ton of resistance. We could wake up tomorrow and all this resistance could prove true. ADA could fail here. Another reason why I say use caution in the title. So obvious resistance areas are the 200-day moving average. It's 75 cents. The 50-day moving average, 69 cents. We're a penny away. Let me zoom in a little bit. We're a penny away. Those are obvious daily resistance areas. But then we have this red channel, which basically extends to the weekly. If I go to the weekly chart, and man, I just took a glance at that stochastic oscillator on the weekly. It's just looking so good. I'm going to talk about that in a moment. But on the weekly, look at this. 200-week moving average, 71 cents. So that's the resistance right now. We have 69 at the 50-day. We have 71 cents. I'm on the daily chart here, but 71 cents is the 200-week moving average. It's the bottom of the bull market doors for ADA. And then we have the 200-day around 75 cents. ADA has all of this to contend with in the short term. If I say use caution in the title, as it relates to ADA at least, use caution right here. Use caution. But at the same time, you can use as much caution as you want. It's still fun to say we have bullish confirmations to wait for and watch for. Because ADA's candle, if a candle starts closing above this area, all of these areas, and really there's 3 on this chart, guess what? Then we're monitoring a move that is very similar to this breakout. And on the weekly, what's kind of cool with ADA is, I just briefly mentioned it, was look at the stochastic oscillator on this chart. I mean, look at the RSI, this slower moving oscillator, right? Just look at that. It's just such nice consolidation on the RSI in terms of the macro. I'm talking about coming out of the bear market. It's higher low consolidation. Bear market low. Another bear market low, higher low. Another higher low. Now we're putting in another higher low. I don't know if it'll hold, everybody, but if we look back on this chart, I genuinely have no idea if this is going to happen. If this chart actually goes into a bull market with crypto, and we're looking back at all of this moment, this high fear environment that we've been in, it will just be one of the most obvious things. I know when we're in it, it's like, this is terrible. We're entering a bear market. Everybody's talking about it. But it will just be a repetitive thing. How many times has this happened? But look at the RSI, or I'm sorry, look at the stochastic oscillator, right? So just trying to exit oversold. I mean, that's just a picture of bottoming out. That's what that is. Now, that doesn't mean that, it certainly doesn't mean we've definitely bottomed, but we're getting the picture of it. This could be down here for a while. We might need to wait for higher highs and higher lows into June or something. And then we're really getting a powerful breakout. But I'm just saying all of these data points are coming together very nicely. Not to mention, if you just look at the ADA chart and then you start really analyzing the very simple things we've been analyzing, right? And what I mean by that is less cycle kind of at this moment, below the 20, above the 50, just this consolidation phase before the breakout. Right now, we're holding strong so far above the 50. We're below the 20, but very similar consolidation phase right now. The structure is very repetitive at this point. I know I keep talking about it, but it just is what it is. I'm tracking it. But we're in that very similar structured move. What I want to talk about, and then we can look at some other charts real quick on ADA, is this. I am sure we could probably go back and look on X or Twitter at the time or YouTube comments or whatever. I'm sure, like back here at 9 cents or whatever, weeks of just choppiness, I'm sure there were so many people just like, you know, like this bull trap, right? Bull trap. And, you know, Tyler could be right here. Maybe on the short term, it's a bull trap, right? Maybe there's rejection at this resistance where we're using caution and we do come back down. Maybe we come back down in the 50s and it's a short-term bull trap. But going back to the weekly, Stuff like that was happening in here on the daily, I'm sure. But I want to just make a note of how quick the whole thing can flip. How quick the whole thing, and this is exactly how crypto operates over the years. Been doing these videos for over 7 years. All of a sudden, ADA is at 9 cents. People are screaming bull trap. People are screaming whatever they're screaming. There's no way ADA is ever going to get back to 10 cents. No way 20 cents. No way 50 cents. And all of a sudden, the bull market starts for altcoins. And then all of a sudden, 100 by 100%, by 100%, by 100% gains. By 100% gains. And we're talking thousands of percent gains. And what's crazy about it is people became accustomed to just, you know, months and months and months and months of pain, of sideways, of fake outs, of this, of that, you know, and then all of a sudden, once that breakout happens, you see, like, look, 175 days from 9 cents to $2.40. It's like years of accumulation, years of waiting, and then boom. It's all done. And if you weren't positioned, you're really just kicking yourself. I'm not saying that move is happening now, but this literally is the case applied to every crypto. I saw somebody say, look at Bitcoin. Bitcoin at 93,600. What other altcoins you guys want me to look at? Good idea, Glenn. Thanks, Glenn. I haven't actually looked at an XRP chart. I don't think we have XRP. We're gonna have a ton of assets on here, by the way, everybody. XRP is not on there right now, but I'd be very curious to see what XRP is at on the bull bear arena. But let's look at the XRP chart. I always, like, subconsciously, I think when I'm charting and I'm flipping back between charts, I'm always like, it feels like a race, especially probably the daily in this context. Like, for instance, Ethereum, we're waiting to see if it can, what's it going to do at the 50-day? This is so important, everybody. I know it's just so simple, but like, this is a big move above the 20, right? Because just look at this. Failure, 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 failure. And that's the story of the bulls versus the bears. Now is a good time. We take that analysis of Ethereum. I'm going to get to XRP in a second. Take that analysis on Ethereum, come over here to this bull bear arena chart. We just looked at how brutal this has looked, but there it is. These are moving average resistance rejections. The bulls and bears continue fighting. The bears just keep winning. Bears keep winning. Lower high, lower high, lower high. This Ethereum indicator right now is bulls and bears duking it out. It's a neutral, good first step for Ethereum. That's a bullish step for Ethereum because the bears have obviously been in full control. If you look over here on the screen, but I am sensing that we're going to see this indicator flip green soon, bull's edge. And the reason I'm saying that is because if you go to Ethereum, we actually are seeing Ethereum. That's the weekly. We're looking at Ethereum on the daily. Look at this green candle on that 20-day break. This is a move we've not seen for months. So I think bulls are actually trying to get the edge. And I think like a Cardano, that indicator on Ethereum might say the bulls have the upper hand soon, but obviously not there yet. The 50-day moving average is also key. You can even see in this lower high move down, we saw Ethereum kind of get rejected right below that 50-day. So again, if you want to talk about use caution on Ethereum, use caution. But we start seeing Ethereum break above that 50-day moving average, I don't know if it'll be this candle or tomorrow or in a week. That's a very big deal. That's a multi-month big deal for Ethereum. So going over to XRP, the reason I went off on that tangent is because like when I'm looking at all these charts, it's always interesting to me to see, all right, Ethereum hasn't even made it to the 50-day moving average, right? It's not even made it to that blue line yet. Well, XRP has. And that's just a very, I would say, clear sign that XRP has been very clearly outpacing Ethereum. And in general, XRP is so better well positioned for this cycle. Ethereum, to me, if it's good for anything, it's as an altcoin indicator. Other than that, opportunity-wise, if you want to be in altcoins and even just blue chip altcoins, there are way better ones. XRP, I think, is a way better play. Cardano is a 10 times way better play. Chainlink is a better play. There's so many better plays. XRP, though, testing the 50-day moving average. Something like Ethereum could get a hint of what is to come for a 50-day moving average. If XRP can have an explosive move above the 50-day moving average, that could be massive. In context of what we were talking about earlier on the Bitcoin charts, I wanted to look at the swing high on XRP to swing low. XRP has kind of this macro area that it needs to test. And you can see it's very clear that XRP is in a lower high trend, right? Kind of just like that. It's very difficult to chart because this was that Trump post that just sent altcoins flying, and it just seems so not organic. It's this pump right here. It just shouldn't be there, but it's there. And so when we're plotting a trend line, it's kind of like, how do you even interact with that? But I mean, really, XRP kind of breaking out of the lower high trend. And really, if it flips the 50-day moving average right here, it could be a very big deal. We might see it be rejected on the short term, start throwing back to test the 20 and the 200. Be very curious to see what happens. But ultimately, it is this area, the lower high, $2.71 to around $3.02. That's the area. I think people will be feeling very good if XRP even gets there. But that's the beginning, right? That's the starting point, in my view, for XRP. So that's a pretty big move. It's a 20 to 35% move or so. But that's the beginning of a more, I think, macro move for XRP. This has been months of consolidation on the daily. XRP very well positioned. And I've been saying, I'm going to change this to a weekly. When it comes to XRP, I'm just waiting for XRP to hit its first cycle higher high, 1618 higher high. That's around 530. That's my next target. Like on the macro, bull market talk. This isn't like a short-term thing, even next month thing. But my first target for XRP is $5.30. It's what I think it would have done last cycle if the SEC right here, I believe that's where it was, didn't step in and just destroy the cycle for XRP. So that's the first target. And I think a third cycle higher high could be in the $8 to $9 area for XRP. But the reason I'm bringing all of that up is because when we're kind of zoomed in, I think it's just really important to understand where the shorter term resistance areas are that could signal the breakout to those longer term targets. So the shorter term resistance area, the next target for XRP is $2.70 to like $3. Let's call it that. I want to actually look at, there's SUI on the weekly. Just look at that, man. It's just these altcoins. I'm looking at this move back here, March 2024. You remember this August 2024 low, almost 80% to the downside, and then absolutely bullish. And we're in a more bullish environment right now, everybody. QT about to end. So SUI went 1,000%. And then from swing high to previous swing low, down 67%. Didn't even do as bad as this consolidation back here, right? 67%. We could be at the very beginning of a move. Notice, last time when it came out of the move, broke above the 50-week moving average, there was a ton of upside. And we can even look at something like the oscillator. Just look at it. It's completely reset. So it just broke above the 50. Similarly, broke above the 50 right here. The oscillator at the time was up here. Now we're right here. We're a little lower on the oscillator. So much upside on SUI. Just breaking the moving average line on the RSI. I think if you're looking, I had a buddy, I was texting a buddy earlier who was talking about Solana, and I was like, I think SUI is a better play. I think it's going to outperform Solana. I'm not saying Solana is going to do terrible or not do well. I think in terms of percentage gains, SUI will do better. Let's pull up. Somebody's saying pull up the Bitcoin dominance chart. Bitcoin dominance. What are you doing? What are you doing to us altcoin holders? Really though, I mean, it's still just, it's in the lower high Fibonacci, that red rectangle. I've been talking about it for months in this uptrend. It's hitting it. It's going into that lower high. If we break above the low and out of the lower high, it's gonna be crazy. And I know me saying this, it's going to happen now that I'm saying this, but there's going to be some reevaluation needed in terms of how I'm reading the Bitcoin dominance chart, or even the cycle and altcoins. But I'm pretty sure once liquidity comes, QT starts winding down, I think altcoins are going to do very well. I think they're going to outperform. So somebody said, I didn't bring up the comment, but they were saying to bring up Bitcoin dominance, Ricky. I don't know if you meant on the daily. And I just kind of by accident pulled up, not by accident, but I pulled up the RSI on the daily. There's some bearish divergence so far, but the RSI is very close to breaking the previous swing high. But so far it's a lower high on the RSI, while Bitcoin dominance is obviously seeing a higher high. So a little bit of bearish divergence there. This is the weekly. Not sure if that bearish divergence is going to, is going to hold or not and actually become anything meaningful, and we see Bitcoin dominance fall, but I'm trying to see if you wanted me to pull this up on the daily or weekly. We got a dog request. Wanted to pull up dog too. So look at dog. Absolutely resetting. I saw a Bybit post. I think a potential signal that Bybit might be getting ready to spot list. I don't know. There's been so much rumors about these huge tier 1 listings. But if we're looking at this chart, I just really want to make a note of this right now. And by the way, we're going to have dog in the bull bear arena. I'm going to have dog risk metrics. It's going to be in the CCV intelligence system. I'm very much looking forward to that. But dog on where's my dog chart? Dog on the weekly, absolutely completely reset to, just look at the chart where it starts in May. We wick down to like the opening of this chart. It has completely reset and bottomed out. When altcoins get liquidity and altcoins start taking off, dog is not going to be the only one, by the way, but coins like this have insane upside. And I'm still completely stuck on my thesis, everybody. I just added to my dog the other day. I added more dog because liquidity comes, we get an altcoin bull market, and if I just go and I just look at total crypto market cap, just excluding Bitcoin, if this bull market plays out, meaning last cycle's all-time high has not really been broken, we start trending in that direction and we're getting a bull market, a move like this happens on altcoins, this will be an outperformer. I mean, I said this at probably when Dog was like right here, $300 some million market cap. It is even so more true to me now at $150 million market cap. And I say time and time again when I was covering this, along with other altcoins, you have to be extremely, especially with meme coins, extremely careful. Like 80% moves to the downside can happen. But when the bull market happens for the number one meme coin on Bitcoin, which is fairly distributed, if it starts getting all the liquidity from tier one listings, all of the hype from tier one listings, this can go into the billions, the multi-billions so fast. And I'm just saying, $150 million market cap. $1 billion market cap can happen incredibly fast on a chart like this. 500% gains. $2 billion market cap. 1,100% gains. And then we start getting in the vicinity of this is going to be a top meme coin, because I still think it's going to be. You start getting into the vicinity of just insane gains, up to $10 billion market cap. It sounds crazy now. I will very much like to revisit this video when Dog is at its worst, the fear is at its highest. It's looking terrible. I get it, right? I will very much enjoy just revisiting this video. And this will be a perfect illustration of crypto as a whole. If this type of move plays out on this Dog chart, even just getting to $1 billion market cap will be a first stepping stone. So I'm very, very bullish on Dog. Thanks, Giovanni. Dog will flip Bitcoin. Dog will not flip Bitcoin. Doesn't look like anything's going to be flipping Bitcoin anytime soon. Yeah, Jerome Powell is it's gonna be a big driver in terms of what happens next for crypto. That is for sure. So that's my analysis. I wanted to wait for look at this, a new candle right now. Actually, I wanted to wait for the new candle to start the live stream, and I couldn't because I just have things I need to do tonight. But the analysis is what it is. The support, the resistance areas are what they are, no matter what time I'm doing the video. If you go to Bitcoin on the daily, now that we have literally in 27 seconds, just always enjoy seeing the new daily candles open and close. Really, this would be way more exciting to watch if we had a weekly close happening right now on the Bitcoin weekly chart, because it is that 20-week moving average around 92,000 that I think is probably the most important area for Bitcoin. But either way, I'm going to be keeping a very close eye on Bitcoin on the daily. We see our new candle opening. 10 seconds in, really meaningless, but it's obviously a small little green candle. But I'm going to be keeping an eye on Bitcoin. On Ethereum, Ethereum has it's not even far. The 50-day moving average, 3.5% move. Such a meaningful move. If Ethereum can start closing a daily candle above this area, that will be something I'd like to cover. If we start getting a move like that, I will probably be doing a segment on Ethereum. That's a very big deal for altcoins. And then on the daily Cardano chart, Cardano sitting at around 68 cents. It's exciting, everybody, because right now, on the short term, we're kind of getting into these areas where we really have very macro important areas to watch. So if you're a Cardano holder, we were wicking all back here. It was a mess. Even this green candle, it's kind of still like, man, we're still so far from even the 20, the 50, the 200. Well, now we're really getting close to testing these areas. 50-day moving average, like right around 69 cents. And this line, 71 cents, the 200-week moving average. You will probably see some clickbait, thumbnails, and titles from me. The content, I'm telling you, everybody, the content is 100% like useful. But when we get big trigger moves like this is a 200-week moving average. I just get really hyped with the titles and the thumbnails. So if ADA makes that move, this is a daily chart, but if we're getting there for like 4% to the 200-week moving average, if you go here on the weekly, it's that red line. That's bull market door territory. And there's still a long ways to go until breaking out of the bull market doors, right? But that 200-week to the upper end of the bull market doors is 72% move. There's a lot of work to do for the Cardano bulls, but just getting back into this range will be very meaningful for me in the analysis that we've been doing. This 4% move or so obviously can happen very quickly. And I'm going to be tracking that closely. So that's it. Have to see a Fibonacci analysis thread. Is it on X? I have to give a shout out to, where's my ski chart? I have to give a shout out to ski. Absolutely. I've got my ski mask dog. Where is it, everybody? Of course. What happens when you go unprepared? Is ski mask dog not even on what's a good one? XC. Look at that. I mean, it's really not much different than dog, really. But just crazy though. Nothing, like not much has happened since the swing lows, but this chart up, 100%. So these meme coins, just know, especially with the very organic, fairly distributed, like tokenomics with crazy communities, when we enter bull environment, just please make a note. Watch what these charts do. These charts can change a portfolio. I want to underline the whole thing with, if you're in meme coins, please balance your risk tolerance, like in something like that. But if you have some risk that you can apply to meme coins like ski or dog, if you're going to do it, this isn't a recommendation to do it. If you're going to do it with much caution. But it really could, it really can change a portfolio in the bull market. But I wanted to give a shout out to ski, to the ski mask dog community. What a bunch of OGs. Mine as well. Mine as well. Might as well take a look at ALGO. It's funny. It reminds me of the ADA chart. Just the bouncing around, right? Even the structure, it looks a little bit similar if you glance at it, I think. Let's take it from August 2023 to like whatever, where it is right now. It's a weekly. Let's go to, I'm just curious. ADA on the weekly. Yeah, it's like you see that's such similar structure, and it's kind of like pick your horse type of deal. There's so many reasons why Cardano is such a good one for me in terms of the narratives, but ALGO is it's probably going to be a great coin to hold in a bull market. But you see the similar structure there. So just kind of curious, even the resistance areas above the 50, below the 20 and 200, testing the 50. So here's that kind of on the weekly now, a glance. We're doing this with Ethereum, a little bit of a different aspect here, right? 8 is above its 50 week. So now we're seeing ALGO test a 50 week is a very key area right now that ALGO is at. I mean, even just the rest of this week is important for ALGO in its own way. You see this move back here in November. Everybody enjoyed it. What was happening? It was breaking through all the moving averages. We are at the first moving average contest right here. Literally 21 cents or so. ALGO is there. Will be phenomenal first bull indicator to see ALGO break above that area, close a weekly candle above the 50-week moving average. that's what I'll be watching for ALGO. So it's going to be really cool to watch all of these altcoins, whether you own them or not. If you're buying some dog, it wasn't my doing. Just promise me that. It wasn't my doing. I'm not telling any of y'all to buy a dog. Only why I'm so bullish on it. So that's it, everybody. Hit the link below, everybody. When we launched, MVP is imminent. The guys are just wrapping up some things. The MVP, we are going to be building out so many features after the MVP launch, constant just upgrades. So hit the link below. It'll take you to like a very short, quick little survey. And you'll really just be locking in lifetime access at a very discounted price that we're going to launch with. And this list that I've been building here in previous weeks, it really is kind of like a first launch list before I even launch like totally publicly, because I want to make sure the system is tested. And right now, even we have beta testers testing it, trying to break it. But go hit the link below, lock in special pricing. I'm incredibly excited about this intelligence system and what we're building. And it's genuinely going to help. It's built to help me. Got our exit planner here. Have a Bitcoin scenario, messing around with some Bitcoin, taking Bitcoin gains, visualizing it on the chart, what the gains look like, exit strategy. This is where the money's made now, everybody. It's made now. If you think we're going to see all-time highs, it's not sitting down and planning when we're breaking all-time highs. The money is made right now when the fear and volatility index on S&P 500 is crazy high fear. All of the bear market talk is back. Now is the time to sit down and plan the crazy scenario that we actually see a bull market and plot your exit strategy. Now is the time to do it. And then if it happens, you're ready to go. This is one feature of what we have going on over here. So hit the link below. Just lock in with your email. And I appreciate all of you for just cruising by. I really do. Let's see what markets do tonight. A lot of different charts to watch, a lot of resistance. So again, use some caution. But if you're out there, not a subscriber, please subscribe, turn notifications on. See you in the next video. God bless.